I'm a music teacher and I have never heard the soundtrack from the original 1991 Sonic game before in my life. So join me as we uncover hidden connections, have some fun, and learn about some music along the way. Let's get started and jump in with Sega Call. Sega. Sega. Is that what we just heard? What did we just hear? Sega. Sega. Send it on a C. Sega. Sega. There we go. Sega. If I'm not mistaken. Sega. Sega. Oh, there it is. Sega. So Sega is actually, by the way, check this out. How's this for a little music theory just to get started at the very start of the stream here? We're actually in the key of, we're going to call it C major for the little Sega song there. And we had a flat 6 to a 1 in the key of C major. How cool is that? Sega. Beautiful. All right, let's keep it going with title. That's like in the key of A major. And we're hearing some really interesting things in the harmony. So, in our very first title theme, we're having, in the key of A major, it's sounding to me like a 1 to a flat 7. Yeah, back and forth, so that times 2. And then we have this like half step approach chord. Quite a mouthful. And you say, yes, that was quite a mouthful, because half step approach chord is literally when we just go to a chord by a half step. I know it's a lot of times music theorists, and you know, and it's not music theorists alone, so I'm not gonna point fingers. It seems to be everyone who might write a textbook for a college course seems to think that every single thing under the sun needs to get a tremendously complicated name, and sometimes they even need 2 complicated names, just so you really have to pay attention to what's going on. Yeah, so basically all we have is we have a major, and then we just take down a half step, and then bring it back up. That's it. Cool. All right, let's keep on rocking to this next one. Green Hill Zone. Oh, I've heard this one before. Let's check it out. Love it. I played the wrong chord there at the end, but we'll get it. Hey! great, I got more time to write. Enjoy the music. And then repeats. That's first ending. That'll be easy for you to see. Boom. Okay, so really cool piece of music here, and I actually just saw someone in the chat say the composer was a bassist first. It all makes a lot more sense, and I'll talk about that in just one moment. You know, different people who play different instruments, it's kind of a joke. We like to joke about each other and tease each other because there are memes of the different types of people who choose different instruments based on personality and disposition. And, you know, while it's not a perfect science of figuring out who's going to be playing what, you can get pretty close. You can get pretty close. You could line up a bunch of bass players, a bunch of guitarists, and a bunch of drummers and put them all together and be like, yeah, these things match. And then you take a drummer, you put the drummer and the guitarist, and be like, one of these things is not like the others. By and large. Obviously not a watertight rule, but man. All right, cool. So here we're in the key of C major, like we were for the Sega, what did they call it? It wasn't the Sega shout out, it was the Sega Call. Just like the Sega Call, we're in the key of C major here for Green Hill Zone. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk you through the harmony, then I'll talk you through the melody a little bit. You might say, well, what's the harmony and what's the melody? Well, the harmony is a bunch of notes put together. And then you're like, well, what on earth is a note? Well, this is a note. This is a note, this is a note, this is a note, this is a note. And if we put a bunch of notes together, we get harmony, also called chords. So you'll hear me say chords and harmony interchangeably, which means I'll say chords when I mean harmony. I'll say harmony when I mean chords. I know. And at the very start of this, I was already making fun of people who use two words to describe the same thing. And here I am myself being one of those people using two words to describe the same thing. So, hey, didn't say I was perfect. And here we are. So, what do we have? I'm going to call this a 4. You could say it's to a 3 minor. I'd actually call it a 1 in first inversion. To 1 first root position. Excuse me. Then that all repeats. Now we go to the B section. To the flat 7. To the 3 minor. To the flat 6. To the 5 sus4 down. And then we're back and it loops and around. And around. And around it goes. Now to talk about the melody's pretty interesting. We have, that is gonna be our main, we'll call that subphrase 1. Did not think I was gonna make it through that on the first or second try, however many that was. Anyway, doesn't matter. Point is we have be-do-dee-do-dee-do-doo. We're gonna call that subphrase A. This is a way of breaking up melodies so we can understand it. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-doo. Then we add one note, ba, and then it's the same exact rhythm. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-doo. Then we've got subphrase A prime. Then we're back to subphrase A. It's exactly the same notes, exactly the same order. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-doo. I'll take it up an octave. Thankfully, I know how octaves work. And then we have and be saying, well, look, these notes sound different from these notes. These notes sound exactly the same, but these notes also sound different than these notes. To that I'd say yes, but it's almost exactly the same rhythm. We have pa 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 pa. Try saying that one time. Pa 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 pa. I know, you might be on a bus or in school or at your job and you're like, my boss is gonna think I'm super weird. Yeah, they might already think you're super weird, and what's a little bit more weird really gonna do to you? So ba 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 ba. All right, so ba 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 ba. Let's remember that. So that's our subphrase A right here. Ba 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 ba. There we go. So we have ba 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 ba. Now, we're gonna add one ba onto this whole thing. You're gonna be like, it's the missing sheep. Yes, it is. We're gonna bring one more sheep into the equation. Ba, ba 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 ba. So we have the same ba 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 ba. We just added one ba at the start to it. So ba 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 ba. Bring in an extra sheep. Ba 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 ba. And then we have the same as how we started. Ba 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 ba. And then again we're gonna add another sheep. Ba 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 ba. So type a 3 in the chat, and if you're watching this on demand, put a 3 in the comments if you can now see and understand. Oh wow. Maybe I don't really know anything about music, but I can hear you're saying this pattern of bas. I can hear you're adding a ba, and I can see that they're so connected because you only added one ba to the same pattern of bas you had before. And don't be sheepish about it. You can write a 3. All right, let's keep it going with, now I was gonna talk about the bass. Right, how do I know that the person who wrote this was a bassist? Okay, first of all, I'll start in the chat. Second of all, listen to how loud the bass is in the mix. It's like, you can hear that bass from like a mile away. And that's also a funny thing if you look at the stories of the great rock bands of history going into the studio to mix, like later on in their careers when everyone in the band had like their favorite mixing engineer. If you don't know what mixing is, I know, I'm like explaining one thing to you and then I have to explain another thing to you to explain the first thing to you, but groove with me here. All right, so we have, I like to call this, well, the way I break it down, I call it the 4M, whoops, wrong thing, there we go. 4M Video Game Music Composition Protocol. Long name, it sounds fancy, and it is. But here's the thing. All right, so the first M is we make the music. Second M is we mix the music. Third M is we master the music. Fourth M is we market the music. So we're talking about the second M, which is mixing. So mixing is kind of like, well, if you're baking cookies. So making is you get all your ingredients together. So you got your chocolate chips, you got your milk, you got your flour, you got your water, and you got your sugar replacement, because you wouldn't be eating sugar in 2020, whatever year it is now, would you? Ha! Okay, anyway. So then what we do is for mixing is we take all these ingredients and we decide how much of each we're gonna hear in the overall music. So mixing is like saying, how much chocolate chips are we gonna have? So in the same way, you can get different mixes of the music. So there would be a way to mix this music where you didn't hear the bass quite so loud. And many of the great rock bands of history later on in their careers, when all the members of the band kind of like became their own people and were sort of standing up for themselves in ways they might not have been at the very start of their careers, they'd all have different friends who were mixing engineers they'd bring into the studio to mix the album. And you'd mix, the bass player would bring their friend into the album, into the studio to mix the album, and their friend, the mixing engineer, would make it so that the bass was clearly audible and maybe a little too loud for the whole mix. And the rhythm guitar player would be like, no, we're gonna bring John, my friend, in to mix. And he'd bring his friend John in, and because, well, John's his friend, John takes the rhythm guitar and turns it all the way up. And so what you can do is you can hear in this Green Hill Zone already that the bass is turned, it sounds like the bass player had a friend who was the mixing engineer, brought them in, and that's the person who mixed. By the way, it's not a bad thing or a good thing, it's just kind of a funny thing to notice, like we talked about. You can kind of point out a bunch of bass players out of a lineup, and when someone primarily is a bass player, there you go. You can hear the excellentness of that, well, you know, extra bass, shall we say. Because it's in the same way, you know, you have someone who really likes chocolate chips, they can put more chocolate chips in their cookies. Maybe someone likes vanilla chocolate chips. I'm saying, well, that's not real chocolate, and that's a conversation for another time. But the point being, it's like, whatever it is you like, you can make louder in the mix. Cool. Type of 4, if that was edifying in the chat, and also, if you're a composer and you would like to learn more about the 4M video game music composition protocol and you'd like to make your own music, I put a free video game music composer starter pack in the description of this video. It's also going to be in the pinned comment. It's also in the pinned chat. So go ahead and click on that, grab your free starter pack, and if you're really serious about taking your music to the next level, there will be a calendar page or a survey page after you get your free starter pack, and you can actually book a call with someone from my team to talk about getting your music onto Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, into real video games, and just in general, taking your music to the next level. All right, let's keep it cooking here with Act Clear. I know how to act innocent. I'm not sure if I know how to act clear. Oh, that's beautiful. See, I thought that was about to drop into like a piece of 3/4, but it quite did not. Okay, let's check out Boss Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh, wow. Wow. Oh my. Oh, drama. Okay. Bum, flat 7, flat 6, to 4 minor. And then what did it do? I only listened to it 3 times. I listened to it one second here. Okay. We're having fun, aren't we? Okay. Dun, dun. I forgot what it did the second time. That's okay. Yeah, well, I got that. Ah. Yeah, cool. All right. So this is what it'd be doing. And then we have, I'm gonna call it, we could call this many different things. It's the leading tone of 5 to 5. All right, so check this out. For Boss Sonic the Hedgehog, we have the 1 Marunido, double ball, flat 6, flat 7, flat 6, to 4 minor, to Marunido, flat 7 and 6, to 4, to the 7 of 5 to 5. Back to the 1. That's how it be going down. All right, let's check out this next one. But real quick, Music Sheep 9 says, fun fact, the composer for Sonic 1, I'm assuming we're going to call this Sonic 1 as opposed to Sonic OG or Grandpa Sonic, or I mean absolutely no disrespect. I am literally as old as the Sonic game, and I was born in 91. That is correct. That is correct. If you're saying, Dan, you look like you were not born in 91, yeah, or maybe you're saying like, bro, you look like you were born in 91. Either way, doesn't matter. Okay, Music Sheep, anyway, says, also composing music for a Japanese band called Dreams Come True, and a lot of music comes directly from their songs. That is super cool. Thank you very much for that incredible piece of information. As well as Rubberman 202, saying 2 Sonic games were composed by Masato Nakamura, musician, bass guitarist, recorder, producer, and member of Dreams Come True. Classic stuff. Excelente. Pasta al dente. Let's keep this thing rocking and rolling with Marble Zone. Get in the zone, Marble Zone. Man, I really should have just earned $500 for doing that. That was a missed opportunity placement. Let's keep going, shall we? Can't hear my guitar. All right, there we go. I really just wanted that to repeat. Right. So grab one more piece from this. Aha! Alright, so I'm missing some of the nuance here, but this is about it. Alright, and then second ending, we have a 2, let's say half diminished, to 5, to 1. Now, for those of you who know some music theory, you might look at the fact that this starts in the key of A minor, and the chord progression here ends on C major, and indeed, with a flat 7 to 1, which is a 5 to 1 relationship in the key of C major. You may say, well, how do we know this is in fact in the key of A minor? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, even though it does end on C, which is the relative major in the first ending, in the second ending, it does go back to 1, indeed, not just 1, but with a 2-5-1 in the key of A minor. Then in the B section, we just have this 1 flat 7, flat 6, flat 7 movement. It's very clear that, at least to me, in my opinion, in my estimation, gentlemen and ladies of the jury, and people who don't call themselves ladies and gentlemen, you get the idea. You, people of the internet, I put to you that on the 13th of April, the B section was in A minor. In fact, the A section was also in A minor, even though it ended on the relative major with a dominant tonic movement. I'm saying, what a dominant movement, relative major. Oh my goodness. You said that there were people making up terms for stuff that made it more complicated. It sounds like you're one of those people. Okay, yeah, well, maybe. I'll explain one idea here for you because, look, transparently, if I took all the time to explain all of music theory to you, I've literally written like 3 books on music theory. And if I took all the time to explain it to you, those courses for those books alone are like 20, 30, 40 hours. All right, so I'm not gonna be able to explain everything to you. Now, there are free courses here on this channel, so go check out those if you want. And again, if you want that starter pack, it's in the video description. We'll get you even more cool stuff for understanding and creating music. But here's the idea. So we have a tonic area, a subdominant area, and a dominant area. These are the 3 basic areas of music that you can basically tell music stories through this. Why? Because tonic is like your home and you're safe. Now we're safe at home. All right, here's a little door. Yeah, we're not going to question my drawing skills. We're just going to appreciate the fact that, I am drawing and I'm alive. Okay, great. So we got the tonic. This is home. This is safety. Then we have subdominant. Subdominant, we go out into the world. You're saying, what on earth are you drawing? Well, it's the world, obviously. And you're saying, which continent is what? Wrong question. Right question would be, at what point of our history using Pangea as a theory did this map come from? Would be the correct question. And then the dominant area is going to be, this is a boss. It's going to be the area of conflict. He's got pointy teeth. Sharp pointy teeth. Right? Sharp pointy teeth. Okay. So, and that is how a lot of music works, is it goes between the tonic, subdominant, and dominant areas. At least tonal music does this. Tonal music does. Some music is not quite so tonal. It doesn't do that. You might say, oh, you mean like maybe a chrono trigger, for example. Kind of, sort of. I actually just learned a really cool bit of music theory a couple, weeks ago. That actually chrono trigger is a little bit more tonal than you might at first think. Anyway, point being, we have here the tonic area in green. I'm going to color the subdominant area in yellow. So the 4 is a subdominant area. Also, the 2 is a subdominant area. And then red is going to be the dominant area. So there's our red. Okay, and then here's back to our 1 here. Now what's happening right here is the flat 7 to the flat 3. That creates a dominant to tonic movement in and of itself. And we show the dominant to tonic movements using a little arrow. Like this. So you can see that arrow here and that arrow also here. You're saying, well, hang on, that arrow is curved the wrong way. Yeah, I was writing too fast. So, do as I say, not as I do. Kind of. Anywho. And then anytime we have a subdominant to dominant movement, we show that with a little bracket here. Right? So that is l'histoire de musique. Baguette fromage. Let's keep it going with Spring Yard Zone. What a groove, baby. It is looping. I gotta say, of all the grooves we've heard so far, this has got to be the most groovy. Now, interesting story. I know I said at the start of the stream that I'd never heard this before, and well, that was 95% true. Actually, the first game, I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe the first game I ever played was actually this game. It might have been Sonic 2, it might have been Sonic 3, I don't know. I just remember being 4 years old, sitting in the chair of a barber at a barber shop, getting a haircut, and I remember playing something that looked like Sonic. So it's very possible that, I mean, it's not possible that I heard anything to, like the boss music or anything like that, because transparently, even to this day, I'm not a bad gamer. But bro, when it comes to Sonic games, I just have never, I mean, I have bought like 5 of them. I mean, like on the Xbox, like proper bought them. And like first 3 levels, maybe. And then to be clear, that's the 2D ones, like the more modern 3D ones where you're running and blah, 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 all that good stuff, fine. But like the OGs, bro, I don't know what's wrong with me, but like, I'm not good at playing Sonic games. Like, it's just not good. Like, not good. All right, let's keep it going. Well, one thing to point out was just one moment out of this entire piece that I really dug, and I'm hoping I got this right, is we hear a fall major 7. This is just the start of the B section. So we go to the B section. We go to the 4, which, by the way, is a great move if you're composing music. The B section, just go to the 4. Easy win. Okay, still, like to this day, like a lot of things have gone out of fashion in terms of like sound, and still many different genres going to the 4 at the start of a B section just works. So we had, what I heard was a 4 to a 3 minor to then a 6 minor, all in the key of C major. Now, what's interesting about this is that this 3 minor, if we were to give it a name, it's going to be E minor, and then this 6 minor is going to be an A minor. And this is actually a 5 minor to 1 minor relationship, but it does not create quite a dominant to tonic relationship. It's closer to a subdominant to tonic relationship, in my opinion, and there's different schools of thoughts out there. So we have just that. Ooh, so fresh, so fly, so cool. All right, let's keep it going with Starlight, Star Bright. The little star I see tonight, I wish I may, I wish I might. Listen to this next one. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh my. Alright, it is looping. I want to grab this one chord progression. It's so cool. Oh, just... Ah, that's all it is. No duh. It's got 2 with some internal movements, so it's like a 2 minor major 7. I might have just gone to 2. What did it do exactly? Oh, sounded to me like it went. Did it do all 4? Something. All right, minor to minor 7, and then it goes to the 5, and then it goes to the 4, back to the 1. Okay, this is really, really cool. So we actually have some rather uncommon substitutions here in the subdominant area right here. So oftentimes you'll see a subdominant area in the key of C major. We would expect a major 4 or a minor 2. Why is that? Well, the 4 here in this case is going to have the notes of F, A, and C, and the 2 is going to have the notes of D, F, and A. And so it actually, let's make this full screen for you, shall we? Boom. There you go. Now you can see that better. All right, so we can see that there's actually 2 notes in common between the 4 and the 2. That's why they work together, and you can substitute one for the other. In the same way that you could substitute, let's say, chocolate chips for caramel chips. It's like, well, they're both chips. They both have chocolate in them. They both kind of melt the same way, right? So there's similarity between these two. That's going back to our chocolate chip cookie example from earlier, right? Okay. Now, what we have here is actually 4 minor 6. Interesting. So it's taking the 4 and it's actually borrowing the 4 minor. When, you know, where is it borrowing the 4 from? Well, we can make up a whole story that it's coming from the relative minor, but who cares really? The point is we're using a minor 4 with a 6 in it. Absolutely delicious. If you can use a minor 4, I mean, for goodness sake, in this kind of context, use a 6 in it. At least in my opinion, sounds great. And so we still have a dominant to subdominant to tonic movement here. We still have our little bracket to arrow movement, but instead of being the 2 or the 4, it's actually the 4 minor. So that would be an actual substitution in for the subdominant area. It's just like cooking. You can substitute different things in for other things. You could have roast lamb, or you get your youngest sibling. For those of you who are eldest siblings, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, shout out to my little sister. Okay, let's keep going to the next one, which is Scrap Brain Zone. Highway to the Scrap Brain Zone. Wow. Wow. Was not expecting this in a 1991 soundtrack. Wow. Wow, so cool. So cool. Wow, dude. Yo, this composer was swimming in some serious harmony. So it's not to say in 1991 you didn't have harmony like this. You absolutely did. Just look at jazz, right? So you had this type of harmony out in the world before 1991. Just to see it in a video game, like this is... Dude, there's something about... Okay, the first 3 Mario games, this first Sonic the Hedgehog game, both key of C major a whole bunch, and both the level of harmonic complexity. And that's not to say being complex is a good thing, but it's like, wow, man. I mean, really wow. And the reason why I'm like going like, wow, in 1991, it's because you can see this evolution by and large of the entire video game industry in terms of the soundtracks. You can see a kind of an evolution. It's not to say people don't create simple soundtracks today, and it's not to say simple is better. But like, this is, I mean, wow. And like in the B section, the second time through, like starting in measure 5, so the B section actually does sound, and it's after the, so that actually we call this the B section. That's like the B section. So the C section, if you will, let's just call it measure 5 of the C section. It starts on C major, which I won't say we're in the key of C. So we start on a 1, dun, but dun, and then it's like the flat 2 of 2. It's got a tritone substitution in there. Then to 2, excuse me, then to 2, which by the way we'd call that a tonic to dominant type, dominant to tonic type movement. And then we get that 5. Like, what tritone substitutions in again, not that tritone substitutions weren't a thing in 1991, but to hear it in a video game, and you know, then again we go listen to Mario, which was what, 1989? So I shouldn't be surprised, but I am pleasantly, and I'm enjoying it, and I hope you are too. All right, let's keep going. That's like almost Pokemon-ish right there. Wow. I'm gonna call this, you know, there's many different, you could call this a 7, fully diminished 7, or you could think about it as being a 5 in first inversion. Yeah, 5 in first inversion. I'm just gonna call it 7 diminished. Okay, well, you know what? No, I'm gonna take that back. I mean, either way, it's like a leading tone in perfect authentic cadence, but yeah, let's just, for funsies, so it's gonna be 5/7. Okay, so here's a couple things to think about in this piece, and actually to contrast it against the scrap brain zone that we just listened to, because there's actually a connection between Final Zone, Scrap Brain Zone, and a couple other of the sound. I mean, this whole soundtrack is connected, which is kind of the cool thing, man. You know, it's one thing to sit down and listen to, like, you know, 16 hours straight of a Mario Kart soundtrack, but to jump into something where it's like basically a 10-track OST and see how interconnected it is, it's such a work of art, and it's so cool. So back in Scrap Brain Zone, something I actually didn't talk about, but we heard this 1 minor, flat 7, flat 6, flat 7 chord progression, but presented differently than we've heard it throughout the OST. Yes, indeed. Instead of having the 1 B minor, the flat 7 B major, flat 6 B major, listen this time, it was minor. 1, ooh, different feeling. Oh, different feeling. Even if you know nothing about music, type a 2 in the chat if you can hear. That's a different feeling. So compare, this is option 1, to option 2. Type a 2 in the chat if you can hear that that is a different feeling, and put it in the comments if you're watching on demand. So don't do it for me, do it for you. Put your stake in the ground. All right, anyway, so that's that 1 flat 7 flat 6 deal, which we heard here. Where else did we hear it? We heard it back here in the B section. All right, so we had 1 flat 7 flat 6 flat 7. Then right here we had the flat 7 flat 6. Again, 1 minor flat 6. Yeah, 1 flat 7 flat 6. So you can see that we've had these chords throughout this OST. And now we hear it here at the end. And what do we hear? Sure enough, same idea. 1 minor, flat 7, flat 6. This time all major, not that variation we heard in the Scrap Brain Zone, which was all minor. And then, second time through, we're getting that leading tone, that 7. What's a leading tone? It just means it's a half step down from where we're going, which is just like the approach chord that we talked about at the very start of this OST, and indeed, it's actually the same 2 notes! The approach chord we heard at the start of this OST was going to an A major. This case, it's going to an A minor, slightly different feeling, but still has that A as the lowest note. So the interconnectedness webs run deep and strong through this Sonic the Hedgehog OST. All right, we got a couple more little funsies to check out, along with the ending and staff credits, so let's rock and roll with that. All right, now I actually had a question in the chat. Was, can I demonstrate the difference between approach leading chord tones and sus chords? Yeah, sure. So here's going to be a leading tone chord, is going to be relative to something else. So the way a leading tone chord becomes a, well, the way a chromatic or half step approach tone chord becomes a half step approach chord is because it's going somewhere, right? So if I just play this, it's not an approach chord, but if I go, and then I go up a half step, then it became, we can say in hindsight, oh, that was an approach chord. Kind of in the same way when you meet someone, at first they seem really nice, and on the way home you go, they were a, and then you use some other word to describe them that is maybe not so kind as nice. You only know by looking back at their behavior. And in the same way here, it's only by looking back and saying, oh, where did that chord go, that we can actually identify and know that it was actually an approach chord. Now, a sus chord is a sus chord no matter what's happening before it, behind it, above, below it, or any other preposition you might choose. Here's a sus chord. It doesn't need to go anywhere, become anything, or do anything. It's much like you. You don't need to become, do, or be anything to be deserving of love and to be enough. You just are, and because you are enough. How about that? You are the universe's sus chord. You just are enough, just the way you are right now. All right, let's keep it going to the next one, which is staff credits. Green Hill Zone, baby! Oh, cool. So flipping that around. This is the start of Green Hill Zone. Flipped around. Oh. Cool. Beautiful. Let's keep it going to special stage. Here's the 3/4. Okay, so this whole piece, I'm simplifying it a little bit. Eine kleine bisschen ganz simplified it, which is the past way of saying simplified in German, in case you're wondering. I'm just messing. All right, so let's go full screen here for this explanation. All right, so we have a 4 major 7 to a 3 minor 7 to a 2 minor 7 to a 1 major 7. That's pretty much the entire A section of this piece. Then we go to the B section, and in the B section, it's going to flat 7 major 7, whoops, to a 1 major 7, to a flat 7 major 7, to a, if I'm not mistaken, it was a 5 sus 4 to 5, and then back around. We loop back around, we loop back around. Hey, hey, let's keep going to the next one, which is Invincibility. That was fun. All right, I got the idea. Next. So dum dum. That's the key of A major, which is kind of like the starting thing. You remember the there? That's back to the key of A major for extra life. So we can see also that, you know, and I bring this up because I was actually talking about this with my incredible group of clients in the Gamer Music Creator Guild. It's a group of gamers who I help create and release original music on Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, and into their video games. And we were talking, this was 2 days ago, which is why it comes to mind. Someone was like, hey, so how do I pick what keys to do for this OST I'm working on? I was like, well, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You can have it be that you pick, you know, a group of keys to represent different things. It can be all random. You can have everything in the same key. I gave them an example of a OST I did a couple of weeks ago now, where I had, you know, different keys represent different areas. What we can see here is that this key of A major in Sonic, this is representing like an extra life. This is the goodness. This is the safety. This is security. Then we have the A minor, which is representing like the boss and the danger. And then we have C major, which is representing general adventure. So we can see that there's actually 3 areas of 3 different keys in this original Sonic the Hedgehog game that are, yeah, representing different states. Yeah, I have a feeling this is the similar music I heard when I was playing the other games I was doing, and the water was coming up, and there was just water, and I didn't know how to get away from the water. All right, check out Game Over. That's a lot of fun. So we have some A majors there and some G majors there for Game Over. Let's check out Continue. Yeah. Oh. Oh, fun. That was a lot of fun. So we get the melody start to diverge away from the chords there. And let's check out Green Hill Zone, Masa's demo version. Oh, this is so cool. This is the demo? This is sick. Thank you to J2O Juice for hooking this up. Masato Nakamura. Oh, this is so cool. Oh, this is so, I'm getting goosebumps. If I told you I preferred this to the original, what would you say? Wow. Wow, I'm not gonna say that I prefer that to the OG, but bro. All right, cool. Hey, if you want to take your music to the next level, check out the link for the free Video Game Composer Starter Pack in the description. And the next video in the Sonic the Hedgehog little mini series I'm running here, or maybe it's gonna be more than a major series. Anyway, it's gonna be right over here. So click on that to watch the next one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.